Welcome to Larry the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. And welcome to another edition of Midweek Maiden. This is where we get together on Wednesdays to talk all things Iron Maiden. And for this week, I have some very special guests with me. We are going to be listing our dream but realistic Iron Maiden set list. And this is timed very appropriately. Iron Maiden just played the first date of their Legacy of the Beast. I think there might be 2 dates into it at this point as we're filming this. So it's very appropriate timing, I guess, for us to put out there what our dream but realistic Iron Maiden set lists would be. And to help me with this task, I have with me from the Maiden A to Z podcast, coming to me from Stockholm, Sweden, we have Erik and
Hello.
Jonatan. Yes.
Nice to be here.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for being here. The Maiden A to Z. Well, you know what? Jonatan, you tell the listeners out there what the Maiden A to Z podcast is all about.
Right. I have prepared for this ever since we started it, because you need to defend it. We're not the only Maiden podcast out there. So I guess we needed to have our own method, I guess. We do it alphabetically, and that is, to be clear, to be transparent. I stole that from, what is his name again? Alpha Metallica, anyway. Tom Quee, that's his name. So that I got straight from there, and then I kind of mishmashed some other pod favorites, and I brought it to Erik, and we came up with our concept, and also learning as we're going. But basically, it's very completist approach to the Maiden catalog at large, and also very guest oriented. We have a lot of guests on. Sometimes we do it with just me and Erik, but that's a rare phenomenon on our show. So it's also about the community and all of that, which I'm guessing you're familiar with. Iron Maiden is a good band to build a community around, So that's largely become the point of doing the show. But of course, we are very into talking about this band,
And it's a great
Where else to start? What do you think, Erik?
Well, yeah, it's in a very sort of, I think Maiden fans in general tend to be on the sort of nerdier side of music. You have music fans, so it's a very sort of it hasn't been hard finding guests who want to deep dive, nitpick details into, since you're going song by song, there's certain songs you wouldn't think there's a lot to talk about, and then but there always is almost. So
yeah.
So
we even had a guest a while back who had his own Maiden podcast in Swedish, and he's kind of tired of doing that, and he say, I've already said everything I have to say, but then he added, this was genuinely fun, and there's always a new angle, So I think that's also largely part of it, because again, we're not the only Iron Maiden podcast. So it's about the angle, it's about the your personal experience with the band, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really fun podcast. I'm going to be leaving links down below in the description for everybody out there, so you can check out Maiden A to Z and some of their social media links and stuff like that. And some of the special guests they've had on there have also been here at the Lair. They've had Matthias. He was here. He's done Midweek Maiden with us. We did a B-sides discussion with Matthias, and we did a Iron Maiden deep cuts episode a ways back with Matthias. All right, so today we are here with our Iron Maiden dream but realistic set list. All right, and the realistic part, well, we're leaving that to, we didn't really get into when I talked to these guys about coming on here. I just sort of let that go to see everybody's definition of realistic may slightly vary, but that's the fun in this here. What we said was 15 songs, put an encore in there somewhere. I can't remember if we specified. I did a 3-song encore. I can't remember. That's what we specified with everybody, but somewhere in there, an encore. We're going to put them in order of how we want to see them happen. We're going to go around here one by one, and we're just going to have everybody's going to run down their list here so we can get the feel and the flow of everyone's list. So guys, who wants to start? Which one of you guys wants to start?
I'm curious in nature, so I want Erik to start.
Okay.
Right. Fair enough. Yes. Age before beauty, apparently, John. Thank you.
Thank you, I guess.
All right. I guess so, yeah. So what I went for is I decided that my angle is going to be like a 90s kind of set, because I figured in an alternate timeline where we didn't lose 2 years, perhaps like next year would have been a perfect time for them to do like a 90s retrospective thing. Obviously that's not going to happen now, but here we go. So I started out with as an intro, I put the 663 Squadron, which is a theme from a movie. They used this intro during the No Prayer tour. And from there we go. No, I'm reading the whole thing through, correct?
Yes.
I guess I was going to ask you, John, should we stop at some points to get like comments on the set list thus far?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you give us your first couple, and then we'll see if we have some thoughts, and then give us another 2 or 3. And so give us your first three songs here.
All right. So we got Be Quick or Be Dead, Man on the Edge, and then Prowler are my first 3.
Okay, that's a good start. You got a little bit from every.
Yeah.
And nice and intense too. It's like 3 openers, triple opener, you know, triple threat.
Yeah, and then I figured that'd be a good time in the sort of gig situation where after those 3 songs, maybe Bruce would do, mention, talk a little bit or say what's going on, and then we move on to the next sort of section. So yeah.
Okay.
So what would he say in preparation? Because I guess this is a good point where Bruce could introduce the next song a little bit more in depth, which he usually would do like once in a set list. Like a last tour, that would be ahead of Klansman. Yeah. Or, when he would go talking, basically.
Well, I mean, if it is a 90s sort of retrospective, he probably would mention something about that. I don't know what he would say necessarily because it wasn't a particularly happy time for the band. But what I put next is a song that they did play live during that tour. I can't imagine they'll ever touch it again. But I have Public Enema #1.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, I think that's a solid. It's like I said, we talked about yesterday a little bit in our show that the only thing that's kind of silly about it is the title, which seems like it's going for like a sort of very forced edginess that doesn't really work. But I like the song.
It's got a good chorus in it.
It's got a great chorus.
The title suffers from a bit of 90s attitude, I guess.
Yeah.
Why would I want Iron Maiden to ever address, Enema? I don't want them to,
Especially
but it's a great song. It's my favorite song of that album, actually.
I'll go as far as I don't really necessarily need any sort of songs to address enemas.
Well, Tool could do it, with that double lettering.
Sure, yeah. All right, so then if we're going next, so after that we have Revelations, Afraid to Suit Strangers, and then I do 22 Acacia Avenue. And,
strong songs. What about you, John? Those 3 songs?
Oh yeah, that works. I like it. I like that you got a lot of stuff from the 90s, that you're doing stuff from the 90s here, yet still jumping back to
and I would say Revelations kind of fit into a 90s sound. It's from the 80s era, but it's not really off the 80s as much compositionally, I would think. It has a more straightforward melodic language, I think. That could translate well into a 90s context.
I didn't think it was as jarring as if you were to throw in 2 Minutes to Midnight or something.
Or even like I don't know, Wasted Years is supremely 80s, I think.
Yeah, well,
its overall aesthetic, whereas Revelations is, I guess, more 70s, I would say. I hear a 70s kind of hard rock in that song.
Possibly, yeah. Then we need, we're getting to a point where you kind of need a longer kind of epic in the set list. And this is I made this list a couple weeks ago, and then I was sort of inspired by the sort of the recent gigs or the tour premiere. And then I gotta have this one in here. So the big epic in the middle of this one is Sign of the Cross.
Okay.
I don't know what your feelings on that one is. I think it's one of their best ones from the 90s.
Yeah, for me and Erik, it's our favorite of the 90s. If we have to,
from the Blaze era,
even actually including the Bruce albums, in our case, including No Prayer and Fear of the Dark, we still find Sign of the Cross at top of the pile. I'm quite confident to say that it goes for both me and you, Erik.
I think so, yeah. But you said you're not a fan of the Blaze era, John.
No, I'm not a huge fan of the Blaze era, but I do really like that song. And I do like when Bruce sings songs from the Blaze era. I think that Bruce sells them better than Blaze did. So yeah, Sign of the Cross.
And also proper respect. He respects the songs. Like the adaptations are not lazy. I have an example I bring up now and then, is that when Dio sang Ozzy. I think Dio is the best heavy metal vocalist ever to date, but his singing of Ozzy, that was not with any respect. It's just like kind of almost joking it away to me. That's what my ears get,
It's funny on our I also on the channel do a Sabbath Sunday series, and we were talking about, I do it with a friend that I also do a Black Sabbath podcast, Into the Void, a Black Sabbath podcast. And when we were discussing, we had an episode on Live Evil, and my co-host, his name is Darren, and Darren commented about how Dio sings this one particular line. How does it? I can't think of it out of context. You will laugh and I will cry is the line, but Dio says like, you will laugh and I will cry. Like because
I mean, he likes to alternate the rhythms quite a bit.
Yeah, like
Heaven and Hell, he rarely sings it the same. But when it's his own songs, that freedom is just, liberating. It's just nice.
Yeah.
But when it's the old stuff, it feels like he's just a bit of shitting on the songs in a way.
Yeah. It's almost like I used the example. It's almost like Yngwie Malmsteen playing AC/DC songs. It's the level of chops is just so exaggerated that Yngwie can't help but go.
Right. So
he
can do Deep Purple. He can do Burn. Burn with him is fine, but he couldn't do a Whole Lotta Rosie.
Right.
Highway to Hell wouldn't be good either, probably.
No, it would be a shit show, I think.
Yeah, and what? My problem with the Blaze, the reason why I like Bruce singing Blaze better, one of my problems with the Blaze, not to go off on a huge Blaze tangent but I always felt like Blaze sometimes struggled rhythmically with all the words that Steve Harris was handing him. And one of the specialties Bruce does a lot of things very well. One thing that he does very well is he can spit out a lot of words. He knows how to sort of, like Steve Harris hands him all these lyrics, all these words that he has to cram in, and he's able to sort of articulate it and spit them out. And so when I hear Bruce do the Blaze stuff live, that's what I hear. I hear it. It's more like, he's able to enunciate and get these words out quicker.
It makes it even more impressive that he doesn't even want to, that's not the way he wants to sing, but he does it anyway.
Yeah, right.
We discussed sort of on our show the fact that I think that Steve is very unaware of probably many things, how things work outside of Maiden and other bands. Like for instance, for him, it's probably, he had Bruce for many years before getting Blaze. Bruce had no problem with his weird vocal lines. So maybe just assumed, well, apparently, I guess this is something people can do. So why Bruce could do it? Next guy should be able to do it too. Yeah, turned out not to be the case.
And I also think he had a problem with it, but he just decided to do it anyway. That's the impression I get, because if I got those lyrics, look at the even letter stuff like Red and the Black, where it's like, whoa, no one should really do it like this. But he's just, he's realized Iron Maiden is good, Steve Harris is good, so I'm gonna follow his lead at some point, which I think is rare for that type of personality to, just follow someone else's, maybe not even that thoroughly thought through ways of doing it. Still, he does it. He understands the magic, I think, of Steve in that sense. But it's hard to do. A tough challenge for Blaze. And I've said in the pod too that the rhythmic stuff, even as big a problem as the high notes for him. Yeah. If you listen to Trooper bootlegs, it's like, oh, this is painful. This is not going the right way.
Yeah. All right. Where's
So let's move on there. And I have after that I have Die With Your Boots On. And then I followed up with Heaven Can Wait. And then we have Iron Maiden, because they're obviously going to play that. And I think I might have messed something. It doesn't matter. It worked. This is actually better, because I didn't end up including Fear of the Dark, which they 100% would obviously have played. But after that, the encore would have been 4 songs. The Evil That Men Do, Wasted Years, Phantom of the Opera, and then they end on Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Nice.
Nice encore set.
Now, I think that obviously if they did this surreal, they'd obviously be Number of the Beast and Fear of the Dark and whatnot in there. But yeah, I just, at the end, I should have just went nuts.
They have skipped both those songs, so it's still realistic. They did skip Fear of the Dark in 2005, and they skipped Number of the Beast on the Amateur Life and Death tour, right?
I think so.
Erik, read your set list down from us top to bottom again.
All right, so here we go. So, Be Quick or Be Dead, Man on the Edge, Prowler, Public Enema #1, Revelations, Afraid to Suit Strangers, 22 Acacia Avenue, Sign of the Cross, Die With Your Boots On, Heaven Can Wait, Iron Maiden, Evil Let Men Do, Wasted Years, Phantom of the Opera, and ending it all on Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Nice.
Is it realistic? What do you think, Mr. Gaffney? Is this a realistic set list?
Yeah. It's more realistic than mine. Wait till you hear mine.
Yeah, mine too, I think. It's quite realistic.
No, I like it. It's funny. Afraid to Shoot Strangers. I remember they do that on when they did that Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Yeah, they made an England redo or Seventh Son.
Yeah, Made in England, right?
They sort of replaced Infinite Dreams with that, I think.
Right now, I know Matthias. He always recoils in horror when I tell him what it's like for an American audience at an Iron Maiden show. But I distinctly remember them when they played that song. It was almost a stampede to the popcorn line, to the bathrooms. I mean, I swear 50% of the arena cleared out. Nobody knew what it was. It dropped like a lead balloon. It was, I mean, I liked it. Me and maybe about a third of the audience knew what was going on. The rest of the crowd just, because it came to, I think, sort of like roughly in the middle of the set or something, or, so it was kind of like, okay.
My highlight, by the way, to all your country mates, that was my highlight,
I mean, I liked it because amazing. I like to hear them do different songs, but, to the average person here, those albums did not register in any kind of way here, on MTV or the radio or anything. So a lot of those songs are just completely, people don't know what those songs are.
We did like this American takeover on our show. We had 3 American guests, and then Erik, who is also American, citizen and all, voting, all of that. And we talked about that, Made in America. And it was the biggest was around Power Slave. I looked at the numbers too. They were huge then. So I think around Fear of the Dark, they didn't have a stronghold in the country, basically. And that was a little bit different in Sweden. Slightly different, anyway.
Well, speaking of Fear of the Dark, I'm going to turn the light on because it's getting very dark here.
Right.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Jonathan, you want to give us your set list?
Yeah, I've introduced a couple of set lists in our show. Like one was based on Senjutsu, roughly, and one was based on like a ideal legacy tour or the best songs ever. And I guess this one I tried to make slightly realistic. So when I'm looking at it now, I think there's only one song that they never did, which is or maybe 2 that they never did, which would put the realistic level down a little bit on this set list. But I tried anyway. It's somewhat realistic. And I think it's 18 songs actually, but a few of them are quite short. So are you ready?
Ready.
I decided to start with Future Real in this one because especially since doing that episode, I realized it's just such a good song. So energetic and it moves,
Yeah.
You like to be moved in the beginning of a concert, rattled, if you will. Like, here we go. And I think that's a fitting song to lead things off. And Bruce does it great. The band sounds better, way better, I would actually say, than they did on that album.
Yeah.
When they play live now. So it's like it's a breath of fresh air, maybe slightly unexpected, and just a good, solid Maiden opener. And it sounds incredibly Maiden to me. Like there's nothing un-Maiden about that track, in my opinion.
Yeah, great opener.
And then continuing in, what you want after the energetic start. In my opinion, probably a rocker. And I don't mind that formula. So I put Die With Your Boots On in for that one. Because
nice.
we talked in our show about, occasionally replacing 2 minutes, a song I like a lot, with this one.
Yeah.
Because it has a similar energy.
Yeah, it's a fun song. Yeah.
Yeah, but a little bit rougher in a way, a little bit harder, and incredible guitar work in it. That's always a part of Maiden for me. Being a guitarist, and being a guitarist because of Maiden, of course, it's going to be important. And then Bruce is still not talking, and they hit into Remember Tomorrow as the third track.
Nice.
That's very nice.
Third track is, in my opinion, you can do whatever you want if you succeeded with the first couple of tracks.
Yeah.
The opener and the successor to the opener. If you do that, you can do whatever you want. And with a clean slate, what do I want? Yeah, Remember Tomorrow. Love the track. I think it's one of the best songs they've done.
Yeah,
so, it's in there for that reason.
Be awesome to hear that live for sure.
After that, just like Erik, I felt like Bruce talks here. And he talks about, in my vision here, he talks maybe about the state of the world or about politics, nations, whatever. They're touring internationally, so he kind of has the power, I guess, to talk for the world in a way. Not like he decides anything, but he can make his analysis. So he goes into Hell on Earth from the new album. That's the fourth track. Also, it's a very engaging song. We're still early in the set list. It has a lot of, you can engage the crowd in it, and it's a cool track, I think. Maybe I was overly happy about it when the album was new because we had the recency bias going on, but I still feel it could be a very solid live track, I think.
Yeah.
And also an early epic. Maiden should throw an epic in, I think, within 5-6 songs. They should, because it's Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And then from Hell on Earth, we go into Revelations. And there's not too much to say as to why I think it should be there. It's just a great track. Erik had it in too, and I'm always happy when they played it. I've seen them do it a few times, and it's always like, oh yeah, nice.
It's
Also
a good live one too, because the crowd it picks up speed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
It's like engaging, and like I said during Erik's set list, going through it, that one, I said that it has a 70s flavor. I think it does. It's just like a good live rocking song.
Yeah.
From that into Power Slave, so staying Dickinson in that sense, but I think they are kind of like the yin and yang of Bruce Dickinson or something like that. One is more oriented towards Revelations is more humanly rooted, and Power Slave is about the power and the corruption and the mind of this leader. He's completely off the rails. He thinks he's immortal or something. So I think they complement each other nicely. And for me, those two songs strongly prove that Bruce Dickinson is a great songwriter as well.
Yeah.
And the band needs him, if not even as a singer, they need him as a songwriter too. And from Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, Caught Somewhere in Time. Nice. Because then I want some Harris action at that point, Like 2 long songs, Bruce Dickinson. Let's bring in something very Harris, and
let's get back to the gallop.
Yep,
the gallop, and heavily so. It pretty much gallops for 7 minutes, pretty much. And it's just a track I like. I think I think they should play it, and I think it will be appreciated. And that goes for 6 songs on this album. Why are you not playing them? People would love it. Doesn't have to sound like the album.
Right.
What's next? Sun and Steel. That's the one I put in that they never played, because I think after Revelations, Power Slave, and Caught Somewhere in Time are all fairly epic tales, and then maybe a brief rocker or something nice. Maybe you can get another beer, at this time, because you just feel like I want to park a bit more. It's a good rocking song, lots of energy. Wish they played it, really.
Yeah.
Then I would say maybe Bruce Talks again, going into Afraid to Shoot Strangers. My favorite first song, my entry into the band.
Wow.
And we talked about it before. When I saw it live, I remember I was crying. It's just like, it's a very important song for me in music. So of course I have to put it in. And I can say already now, there's going to be no Fear of the Dark. So this is my nod to that particular album, right? The album has killer tracks. It's just not a good album. And I said killer. We're going into killers from here. And that's sort of like turning things around again. Afraid to Strangers and Killers are quite different tunes. And I just like the contrast, really. Yeah. It could be a few songs, but Killers definitely fits the bill, I think. And then Let's Stay Street, 22 Acacia Avenue. Erik picked it too. Killer track, awesome guitars, great live. What's not to love, at this point?
Yeah.
Even with the lyrical theme. We had a guest on and from London, and he said they're getting on in age and stuff. Maybe it's not appropriate for them to sing this. I get that, but I don't care. It's a great song. Just do it,
And I think about the end of that song with the guitars and everything. The end is really epic. I love like the last couple minutes of the song, I think are fantastic.
Yeah, Erik pinpointed that riff way back in our first episode, and it is charged with energy. You can't deny that. You know, good for live.
Definitely.
So after that one, a little bit of new stuff. All we did that was kind of new in this set list was Hell on Earth, and here I put No More Lies, because again I feel it's a very Steve-oriented track. I feel it's better live. I prefer it on Dortmund, Dance of Death, Death on the Road, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
Over the album version, and I feel they could do this as much as, for me, it works as well as something like Blood Brothers or Clansman, something along those lines. So
Yeah.
it fits the bill for me. And also I have a little bit of an X Factor vibe in that song, which leads into the next track, which is the only X Factor track I put on, The Edge of Darkness. It's like sort of a youth favorite of mine. I don't like it as much today, but I would love to hear it live. So, you know, interesting choice. And they did play it, didn't they, Erik?
I don't remember.
So it could be the second track they never played, but I have this. Maybe they didn't. I don't know.
I think maybe
I'd
they
like
did,
them.
right? Did they? Is my sound working? Because
Yeah, it sounds good.
Cool. No, I think they did play it on that one tour, and I don't know if it really went over that well, but they did play it, I think.
And here we come to the end of the set before the encore, and I like Iron Maiden. I like the track, but no one needs it, so I didn't put it here. I put Evil That Men Do. I think Evil That Men Do is anthemic enough. It's close enough to the heart of the band, and it's one of my favorite songs. So I think it works well. They can do that. You know, you don't have to do Iron Maiden all the time. I'm not sure people even listen to that first record, so I think they could easily get away with just removing that. Way easier than perhaps Fear of the Dark or Number of the Beast, which of neither are in my set. You know, but yeah, realistic in quotation. So, but I think Evil That Men Do, he could even talk a little bit about the intro. Thanks for being here, blah, blah, blah. And then that anthemic closer, and people will stay engaged for the encore. Sure. In which I put 4 songs. I started with Be Quick or Be Dead, Erik's start of the set, because it's a good track. Yeah. And it fits live, tons of energy. And I believe they would play it way better today than they did on the particular tour. Definitely, which is often something I look for when I look for set lists, like which songs could you actually improve? And I think that's one of them, you know, with the sound they have today, with the tightness, and also the better command of pacing. They're better paced now. So I think they will just sound killer. Yeah. And then after that, Wicker Man, that's a song that keeps popping up for me and Erik. Not really a favorite. I think we both said that it's not a favorite on the album, even. But every time I hear it, I get that feeling that kind of ties back to why I love the band somehow. Yeah. But when they hit into Adrian's part, you know, it's pure Maiden to me.
Yeah, and the chorus in it is huge, and you know,
huge chorus. Overall, nice composition in that track, fits a live bill. And then from there, Infinite Dreams, because I need 2 tracks of Seventh Son. I can't deal with just one. And then why not Infinite Dreams? And in an encore, maybe it's too slow for an encore, but not to me. I like it. Still think there's lots of energy in it. And then heading into Hallowed Be Thy Name as the final one, because I believe it's the ultimate final track of anything. Of anything. Just put Hallowed at the end. That's the perfect way to go out. Like concerning death and all that. It's pretty much the anthem for the band, in my opinion, or the anthem for Steve Harris' songwriting, anything along those lines.
Nice list. Indeed. Yeah, I like your choices. I like the deep cuts on it. So read it down from top to bottom for us again.
Sure thing. Future Real, Die With Your Boots On, Remember Tomorrow, Hell on Earth, Revelations, Power Slave, Caught Somewhere in Time, Sun and Steel, Afraid Shoot Strangers, Killers, 22 Acacia Avenue, No More Lies, The Edge of Darkness, The Evil That Men Do, Be Quick or Be Dead, The Wicker Man, Infinite Dreams, Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Nice. All right. Okay, my set, I kind of didn't really have a theme to it, maybe just a little bit of everything. But I threw in some ideas here. I have some choreography things.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I want to throw in
It's
here.
important.
Okay, so the lights go down and Wasted Years starts playing over the PA system. Okay, the recording, not the band playing live.
Okay, okay.
Recording of Wasted Years. And on the video screens, it starts with all the way back to, you know, those early pictures of Steve Harris with his very first band. You go all the way back to the earliest pictures of these guys that you can find playing music. And as the song's going on, the pictures are getting faster and faster, and it's moving through time. And then when we get to the end of the song, the pictures are going like this. And when it ends, you see a live shot of the guys backstage behind the curtains. This is right now. We've just gone from the beginning to this moment.
Right now. And it ties in with the nostalgia. That song is like nostalgia ridden.
That's amazing.
Very nice idea.
Once you see the guys backstage, then Doctor comes over the PA system.
Okay.
While Doctor's playing, you're seeing the guys tuning their guitar. You're seeing Bruce, you know, getting ready, just every now and then, just showing them. Then the last minute or so of Doctor, 2 minutes or so of Doctor, the lights go down again, and we get a bunch of Eddies, about 5 or 6 Eddies, but old school Eddies, like the Killers era Eddies, like just guys in jeans with a mask on, and they've got the light like they had. Remember from the early days there, he had like a light that he would flash into the crowd.
Oh yeah.
They have all these Eddies on stage flashing lights out, right? And then the opening number hits, the riff to the Wicker Man.
Oh.
And the band storms out on stage, and the Eddies all scatter off the stage, but there's one Eddie left on stage. And when Bruce comes running out, he chases the last Eddie off the stage. They go into Wicker Man. To me, the chorus in that song is just so huge when it drops into sort of that halftime like feel thing, the crowd bouncing up and down.
This is brilliant stuff, John. You should work with this. This is good stuff.
Are you listening out there, Iron Maiden? Steve Harris.
Yeah, no, I work with live sound. This is the kind of show you want to work with.
All right, then Wicker Man. Then they go into Flight of Icarus, because I've always loved that song. Number 3, I'm going with you guys, Revelations. I think we all had Revelations on our set list. It's a good kind of, you just had all this pumping adrenaline, and then it sort of brings everything back down to earth a little bit.
Just a great song.
But then the tempo kicks up again, and we go into Be Quick or Be Dead.
Oh,
now
on all 3 sets too, actually.
Yeah, but they have, because I saw Roger Waters do something like this when he toured recently, where he had like a wall-like structure drop down from the ceiling in the center of the arena. So what we have here is an airplane model of like a World War II, World War I airplane that drops down, and Eddies inside the airplane flashing like laser like lights, and the airplane is sort of spinning around while they do Be Quick or Be Dead. All right, the next they go into Reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg. I've just always loved that song. I think the chorus in it is great. I love that.
Have you seen that one live? I haven't, but I've seen it on YouTube. I think it works really well live.
Yeah. I saw them when they played that entire album. So yeah, right. I'm assuming that was in there. And yeah, I've just always loved that song. Love that.
Oh, me too, yeah.
All right, then they go into, we bring it back down a little bit, Stranger in a Strange Land. I'm not sure why they never seemed to play that song here. That video got played like crazy all over MTV. And I can't remember if we were talking about this while we were recording it or while we were beforehand. And it must have been when we were recording it, because you mentioned Afraid to Shoot Strangers. And I mentioned how a lot of people went to get popcorn. You wouldn't have that here with Stranger in a Strange Land. That video got played like crazy. I mean, almost as much as the Wasted Years video. So I really think that if they played that song, people would recognize it. People would get into it. And during Stranger in a Strange Land, you have a sci-fi Eddie come out onto the stage.
Right, and I think I'm to chime in on that. I think Adrian Smith's songwriting sounds more American to me, and more adapted to an American audience. Mentioning Wasted Years, for example, and I think Stranger, they would have played it more if they did it better live. They've had a problem with just nailing that hang back tempo. It's almost like they would need ZZ Top to play it, and then they would play on top of ZZ Top. So it'd be ZZ Top. I don't know, but it's something about the rhythm, because it's not the same as any other Maiden track.
Yeah,
it has different rhythmic vibe, and they seem to struggle with.
It's not
getting
slow. It's not fast. It's somewhere in the middle.
And it should be easy, right? But that's not what they're used to. I'm guessing. This song rocks. It's one of my favorites.
You said, Jonatan, that it's your favorite guitar solo.
Favorite guitar solo for sure. Yeah, it's an amazing guitar solo. Like Adrian is one of the best live players of the band. So you can put any weight on him, and he's just gonna surpass the minimum. He's not gonna go for par. He's birdie, always birdie, minimum birdie, and throw in more of his songs. I think because he always honors them when he plays live. He never shits on his none of the stuff, but especially if he bears the big weight of the song, he can do it. And I think Nico can play that now. He's older, that helps.
Yeah,
he's closer to Frank Beard at this point. Basically, he can lay back, so it's a good choice. I wish I had it on my set list now that I hear it.
And you know what? It's kind of like, I know they brought Flight of Icarus back to the set list the last time they came around here, and it's shocking that got dropped from their list, because again, if you're talking about casual people roughly around my age that grew up with MTV, that are casual metal fans, meaning maybe they've got Peace of Mind and Number of the Beast in their collection, or they've got Peace of Mind in Somewhere in Time. They've only got a couple Iron Maiden records, they've got a couple Sabbath records, they've got a few Dio, that type of fan. Everybody knows Flight of Icarus because it was played like crazy on MTV here. Same thing with, Stranger in a Strange Land, not as much as Flight of Icarus was wasted, but it was still played like crazy. So it always surprises me that Flight of Icarus was out of their set list for so long. And it surprises me that Stranger in a Strange Land has never made its way back in.
And Icarus is so self-explanatory. I said in our pod, being Swedish, being 12 years old, I still got it. It was part of, the mythology. It was part of the bedtime stories, that one. So the lyrics came straight to me. And then if you look at it musically, it's as clear. How could you not follow? It's a great live choice.
All right, then I jump to something from the new album, Strategio. It's classic Iron Maiden, the gallop, everything like that. Maybe a Samurai Eddie comes out on stage and chases off the sci-fi Eddie. Notice I've got multiple.
You're gonna need a lot of Eddies.
Yeah. See, normally there's just one Eddie, but I'm thinking of like multiple. The Samurai Eddie comes out and chases off the sci-fi Eddie. Right. And he's out there for Strategio.
Right. I think they have two Eddies now, actually.
Well, hold on. Wait. Before we don't say anything, Jonathan. Have you found out the set list for the new shows, or is it something you're trying to remain spoiler free? Because I
saw it after I wrote mine. I made up my set list, and then I saw the news, and I deliberately tried to not change.
Yeah, well, we don't know the viewers. I'm not going to say. I'm just saying that they have two Eddies on in the set, and I think it could be a first, two walk-on Eddies. That is
okay. That I didn't know. I didn't catch that about the show. All right, then we move on to an epic, Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Very nice.
Because I love it. I just love it. So I want it in the set list. All right, the next Moonchild.
Why didn't I put Moonchild in?
I don't know. High energy. High energy. Now, for my next one, I was almost going to pull a fast one on you guys, but I felt like I was breaking the rules too much. So I'm going to give you my two. Here's my rule breaking pick. And you tell me if this is so far out of reality that no, this is a no-go. They play Moonchild. After they're done with Moonchild, Bruce starts talking to the crowd, and he mentions that Iron Maiden is one big family, that, you know, the music that we make is all interconnected. Even our solo stuff, even what Steve does, he goes, even what I do,
I agree.
still has a foot in Iron Maiden. And then they go into Tears of a Dragon.
Oh my God. Okay, well.
The thing is,
I didn't write that in. I have another one, but that's what I was originally going to put in. But I thought, nah, I'm pushing the boundaries a little bit too much.
I'd rather have Erik's comment on it because the thing is, like, we bring that up sometimes. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm a fan of you putting it in the set list. I'd love for that to happen, but I'm not gonna, you know, spoil the mood by saying, you know, by explaining why I'm not into it. So I'd rather have Erik comment. No, exactly right. That's not a good idea. I'd rather have Erik comment on because I think you're a big fan of the track, right?
I love the song, and I think that if that were to happen, like the world like explode, it'd be amazing. I don't think it would happen.
I mean, with that intro speech and everything, it's a great idea, John. It's an amazing
You talk
idea.
about Afraid to Shoot Strangers and how emotional you were. If they play Tears of the Dragon, I think I will cry.
Yeah,
because I tell this story on my channel. I drifted away from metal around like 89 to like 92 and 93. And what got me back into it was Balls to Picasso. And that particular song has special meaning to me. And if they play, even if they put a spin on it, put a, you know, don't completely change the song, but Iron Maiden, you know, give it a little bit of their own flavor to it or something. Just the chorus of that song, I'm getting shivers just thinking.
It's a strong chorus. Yeah, and I'd love for them to do it, even though I'm not particularly a fan of the song. I'd love for them to do something because it breaks the mold too, right? It breaks the mold. It reinterprets the formula of what this band is live. So I think, as far as I'm concerned, keep it in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but if Steve Harris says that that's a no-go,
still overrule.
Right. Steve vetoes it. What I would put in place of that is from the new album Darkest Hour.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has a similar feel. I love when Bruce does those kind of melodic, to me, that's like Bruce's Money Zone, you know, Tears of the Dragon, Darkest Hour, those kind of like melodic, big choruses. I'm a sucker for big hooks. I think Bruce sells those songs like nobody's business. I can just totally picture, you know, Bruce with his half crouched down, his arm over his head, just absolutely belting the song out to the back of the arena. So, all right, so that would be Darkest Hour. Then we go with a classic, Number of the Beast. It's a song that, sometimes I'm kind of burnt out on it. But this is one of those songs that, you know, when I'm listening to Iron Maiden at home and I've got them on shuffle or something and that song comes up, sometimes I just skip over because I'm just like, I've just heard this too many times. But it's one of those songs, I talk about this on my channel a lot, songs that come on when I go to see bands in small clubs, 500-seat clubs, and they're playing music over the PA system before the main band comes on. When a song like this comes on and everybody's singing along, it makes me proud to be a metalhead. It makes me feel connected to the metal family. It's like an anthem, you know, for me, a metal anthem. So that's why I have it in my set list. And then the final song for me to close out before the encore would be Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah,
Phantom of the Opera is the very first.
I didn't include it because everyone knows it's my favorite track. So I didn't include it. And not all of your viewers. So I get to say it now. I guess I had to. It's just the best song. It's the best metal song, in my opinion.
It's the first Iron Maiden song I ever heard. I've told the story many times about how we had just gotten MTV at my house and I came down in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep, turned it on, and they were showing Iron Maiden at the Rainbow, that Paul Di'Anno concert. And I just remember Phantom of the Opera, and I was a young bass player, and seeing that was just like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
This is, I gotta learn more about this. All right, so then for the encore, lights go down, Churchill's speech kicks in, and they go into Aces High. And if I'm correct, well, I don't want to give away any spoilers.
Well, I mean, I think both of us know, but anyone listening,
I could say it like this. I could say it like this. It's kind of spoiler free. I prefer when Aces High comes late in the set. I believe they're not ready for it as an opener. I like it when it comes late. They did that in 2013. That is, they did it as the beginning of the encore, and I think at that point they are much more ready to perform that song.
Yeah.
Right at the top, it's a tall order, in my opinion. So I think it's one of the best possible encore openers they have.
And I like the idea of them leaving the stage. The lights are down. You hear the Churchill speech, and they're showing some things. To me, that just then you know they're coming back. You know it's going.
Yeah.
All right, now here's another one that I'm kind of tired of hearing this song, but it's just such an anthem. It's one of those songs that unites metalheads all over the world. I think it's a signature song for them. So I'm putting The Trooper in here. That's my second song.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
And then, of course, we have Eddie come out with a British flag. Eddie here, our final Eddie appearance. All right, now my closer. This is really a weird closer, but it works for me. And maybe this is just me, what I would want to hear. I think that this might flop in some ways, but I already told you I like when Bruce is in that sort of ballad-like zone. So for me, the show closes with Coming Home.
Oh, wow.
I like the lyrics of it, the sentiment of it, the vibe of it.
Well, seeing as you dig Tears of the Dragon so much, I totally get it.
And I like the lyrical sentiment of it. Like, it's over, the show's over, we're coming home.
Yeah, exactly. The band, they're still probably still touring, unless it's the final date. But for all the crowd, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Coming home, you can still have it ringing in your ears as you get home. Not a song I particularly dig, but I like your choice there.
And then for the outro tape, as people are filtering out of the building, they can play the Soundhouse tapes.
Oh, that's fun.
Good idea. Why not?
That's fun.
All right. There we go. Those are our set lists. I think we've got a lot of. All right, here's our.
You should read it through from the beginning to end. I have a comment also, but before that, we should, right?
We should
just go through it.
Oh, yeah, read yours from the top all the way down. So we got that too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So mine, wasted years over the PA system with the movie Doctor comes on. Then they go into their opening track, Wicker Man, Flight of Icarus, Revelations, Be Quick or Be Dead, Reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg, Stranger in a Strange Land, Strategio, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Moonchild, Darkest Hour, Number of the Beast, Phantom of the Opera, Encore, Churchill's Speech, Aces High, The Trooper, and Coming Home, and the Soundhouse tapes while people are filtering out.
Yeah. Again, some band needs you to direct this kind of stuff. It's just a good, it's a good dramatic curve, I think. Even though not all of the songs are my favorites, but I think that's a killer set list. I was going to say on Darkest Hour too. That's my only comment that I, still have boiling here, is that for me that was the ultimate Bruce ballad. To me, not being a huge fan of Tears of the Dragon, not being a huge fan of The Man of Sorrows on his on Accident Birth, I finally got what I needed in Darkest Hour. That it's like, this is the Bruce ballad for me. But I'm not gonna say it's objectively better or anything than Tears of the Dragon. I don't probably it's not, but for me that kind of hit the spot, because I know that Bruce is a good choice of a singer and songwriter for a powerful ballad. So that's one it was right up on my list to put in from Senjutsu and Stratego as well. I quite like that track. It's a cool track.
And knowing everything that Bruce had gone through, with his health scare and cancer and everything, I think Darkest Hour would be a real poignant song, especially if maybe he talked before it and talked about how, the fragility of life and the ups and downs of life and everything like that. I think that would be a pretty moving and emotional.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
All right. Well, I think these were three great set lists. I think there's only one solution here is that Iron Maiden needs to start doing multiple nights in cities with alternating set lists on those.
I agree.
Nights. So
Definitely.
they play Eric's set list on one night, Jonathan's on another, and they play mine on the third night that they're there. I think that's an easy solution to this dilemma.
Yes, I mean, if Metallica can do it, fucking they can do it too.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I mean, I've had that as a general point. I'm not sure if we're going to get into a lot of general setlist discussions, but I think Iron Maiden stay a little bit too rigid. And I think considering they're quite a live band, they don't do click tracks, they don't do back tracks.
Yeah.
They have the power, they have the mandate to switch around more, I think.
Be more flexible.
I look at Metallica because Lars Ulrich he has a fan mentality. He's looking through what did we play in this town the last time we were here. Okay, they didn't get Call of Cthulhu in ages. Let's put that in for this particular town. I think that's, for me, it's a more natural approach rather than being that rigid. But also our Maiden, they're my boys, so I'm not the guy to tell them what to do, you know. So far, so good.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. There's our Iron Maiden dream set list. I'd like to thank Erik and Jonathan for joining me here at the Lair today. Hope for Midweek Maiden. Hopefully it's not going to be the last time we see these guys. You guys are welcome back anytime at Midweek Maiden. Make sure you check out their podcast, Maiden A to Z. I'll leave a link in the description down below. And thanks, guys. And until we see everybody again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal, and up the irons.
Up the irons.
So much fun to be here, you know. And come on our show. We need you on our show, obviously.
Oh, definitely.
It's an obvious fact, so you got to come on. We'll find something interesting where we really could use your expertise.
Awesome.
Looking forward.
Guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
Cool.